My family treated me like a stranger this Easter. I sat alone, they laughed behind my back, so I stood up, and I walked out without looking back. I, 26M, never looked forward to Easter gatherings. Every year, it was the same fake smiles. The same cold hugs. The same judgmental looks when I walked through the door. It felt less like a family event and more like a performance. This year, something felt even worse. The air was heavy. My mom barely looked at me. My brother acted like I was invisible. Even the little cousins ignored me like I was a stranger. I almost stayed home. I told myself it would not be that bad. That maybe this time would be different. I was wrong. From the moment I stepped into the house, I knew I made a mistake. I should have listened to that small voice telling me to stay away. But it was too late. I was already part of the show. And this year, the show was about to fall apart. Dinner was supposed to start at 5. I got there 10 minutes early. Most of the family was already gathered around the living room. No one bothered to greet me. I stood by the door for a moment, waiting for someone to notice. They didn't. My mom was busy setting the table. My brother was showing off his new car keys to the uncles. The little kids were running around screaming. And I just stood there, like a ghost. Finally, my aunt noticed me. She gave me a quick fake smile and pointed toward the kitchen. No words. Just a wave of her hand like I was another chore to deal with. I set down the bottle of wine I had brought. No one even said thank you. I sat down on the couch alone. Listening to them laugh about things I was never part of. Stories I wasn't invited to. Memories that didn't include me. The worst part was, I wasn't even surprised anymore. I had become invisible to them. And I had no idea why. Dinner was finally called. Everyone rushed to the table like it was a race. I moved slower. There was no seat left for me at the main table. My mom pointed to a smaller table set up in the corner. Like I was a kid again. Like I didn't belong with the adults. I swallowed my pride and sat down. Trying to pretend it didn't bother me. But it did. I could hear them laughing and chatting. Their voices growing louder. Their jokes sharper. At some point, my brother made a comment about how some people never grow up. Everyone laughed. I knew he was talking about me. I felt my face get hot. I kept my head down and picked at my food. Pretending not to hear. But every word stuck to me like glue. Every giggle chipped away at my patience. I wasn't a part of this family anymore. I was just an old memory they couldn't get rid of. As I sat there, my mind started to drift. I thought about all the times they pushed me aside. All the birthdays they forgot. All the holidays I spent alone while they pretended to care. When I got my first job, no one showed up to celebrate. When I graduated, they sent a group text and called it a day. But when my brother got a promotion, they threw him a huge party. A party I wasn't even invited to. It was always like that. I was the extra piece that never fit. The black sheep they kept around out of obligation. Not love. Not loyalty. I watched my cousins laugh at inside jokes. Jokes I didn't understand because I wasn't there when they made them. I stared at my half-empty plate. The food tasted like nothing. The wine sat heavy in my stomach. I realized I wasn't just hurt. I was angry. Years of pretending, years of hoping. And for what? Another Easter where I didn't even have a seat at the table. I tried to breathe. I tried to remind myself it wasn't worth it. That causing a scene would only give them another reason to talk about me. But the anger kept building. It sat in my chest like a heavy stone. Every laugh felt louder. Every side glance felt sharper. I caught my brother looking at me. He smirked and whispered something to my cousin. They both laughed without even trying to hide it. I clenched my fists under the table. I told myself to let it go. To survive the evening and leave without a word. But deep down, I knew I couldn't. Something inside me snapped. I wasn't a kid anymore. I wasn't going to sit there and pretend everything was fine. Not this time. I looked around the room. I really looked. At the people who were supposed to be my family. At the people who made me feel like a stranger in my own blood. And for the first time, I didn't feel sad. I felt ready. Dessert was served without much ceremony. Someone brought out a tray of cupcakes. Half of them were already smudged and falling over. My mom handed out plates. When she got to me, she paused. For a moment, I thought maybe she would say something kind. Maybe she would remember I was her son too. Instead, she gave me the smallest cupcake, the one that was half crushed. And she didn't even look at me when she set it down. I stared at the plate. It wasn't about the cupcake. It was about everything it symbolized. Being forgotten, being less, being tolerated but never loved. I looked up and caught my brother watching me again. He leaned over to my uncle and laughed. I didn't hear what he said. I didn't need to. The look on his face told me enough. I set the plate down carefully. My hands were shaking. I could feel the blood rushing to my head. It would have been so easy to just explode right there. But I waited. I waited because if I was going to burn this down, I was going to do it right. I stood up slowly. My chair scraped against the floor. The room went quiet for a second. Then my brother made another stupid joke under his breath. That was it. I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I just started talking. I told them how it felt to be treated like a burden. How every holiday reminded me I wasn't really part of this family. I talked about the birthdays they forgot. The celebrations I wasn't invited to. The years of pretending everything was fine while they laughed behind my back. No one interrupted me. No one tried to stop me. They just sat there, frozen. Maybe they thought I would just leave quietly again. Not this time. I told my brother he wasn't better than me just because he had a shiny car and fake friends. I told my mom that love wasn't something you rationed out like scraps. That I deserved more. I deserved better. By the time I finished, my voice was shaking. Not from fear. But from the release. It was years of pain pouring out all at once. And for the first time, I didn't care what they thought. The silence that followed was heavier than anything I had ever felt. No one moved. No one said a word. My mom's face was pale. My brother stared at his plate like he could disappear into it. One of my aunts started crying softly. Someone knocked over a glass and it shattered on the floor. Still, no one looked at me. No one apologized. No one even tried. They just sat there, drowning in their own guilt and shame. For a moment, I thought about saying more. About really digging in. But I didn't need to. They knew. They had always known. They just never cared enough to change. I looked around the room one last time. At the family that had pushed me away piece by piece. At the people who only loved the idea of me. Not the real me. I took a breath. I picked up my jacket. And I walked out the door without another word. I didn't slam it. I didn't look back. I just left. And for the first time in years, I felt light. I felt free. The night air was cold but it felt good against my skin. I walked slowly down the driveway. No one came after me. No one called my name. I reached my car and sat there for a while. Listening to the quiet. Letting it sink in. I wasn't sad. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. Done chasing love from people who didn't know how to give it. Done pretending I was okay with being treated like I didn't matter. I started the engine and pulled out of the driveway. The house grew smaller in my rearview mirror until it disappeared completely. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel like I owed them anything. Not anymore. Sometimes you have to leave the people who hurt you. Even if they share your blood. Especially if they share your blood. Family isn't about DNA. Family is about who stands by you. Who makes you feel loved. And they weren't my family anymore. Maybe they never were. I don't regret walking away. I don't regret saying what needed to be said. Sometimes the hardest thing you can do is choose yourself. Sometimes the bravest thing is letting go of people who were never really holding you. This Easter wasn't about family for me. It was about freedom. About finally understanding that I deserved better. That staying silent only kept me trapped. I don't know if they'll ever change. I don't know if they'll even care. But it doesn't matter. Because I'm not living for them anymore. I'm living for me. And maybe, just maybe, next Easter will feel a little lighter. A little less heavy. A little more mine. Thanks for listening to my story. If you made it this far, please like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more true stories. Your support means more than you know.